So, how was your holiday?
It was relatively uneventful except for spending way too much money on my truck and dealing with way too many mechanics and their BS.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
Did Midnight enjoy her first?
Oh, did so great. Like, didn't attack the tree once, played with the other dogs, got hiking. Like, she was a perfect angel. I mean, she still can be a little bit of a menace, but she is really embracing her love of running
That's
and
good.
hiking. She is an adventure dog through and through.
That's good. I got to figure that out because both of my dogs, like the first dog, I mean, when we got him, she had to have surgery on her hip, so we know she's never going to be a running dog,
Yeah.
because of that. And now the other one is just over a year old, and they're thinking she might have arthritis already.
Already?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
So we're thinking because when we did like the DNA test on them, they're like 55% rot
Hmm.
and like the rest is chow.
Wow.
And but it showed like in the DNA thing, it'll show like they have siblings that have been tested. One of their siblings is a full bred rot.
Oh, okay.
So I think one of the parents is one of the parents obviously is a full bred,
Yeah.
which a lot of times full bred rots, full bred dogs of that size, they have hip issues because of the inbreeding.
Yep.
So we're thinking that, yeah, whatever on that side, that there's probably some issues. So with her being a year old and they're already thinking she has, so I'm like, well, I don't think she's going to be a running dog either. So
Right.
I guess I'm just running on my own.
Aw, it's unfortunate.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I know training after being gone for a week now, it's like time to like really hit the training. So
Yeah. I have legitimately not done any like formal training since World's Toughest Mudder, and I just started literally yesterday.
yeah,
The
I kind of did the same.
Yeah.
Took a little bit of I mean, I was still training, but just nothing formal. And then pretty much like as soon as we got home, like yesterday after I got home from work, I did, I didn't want to go hard, so I did about 15 miles on the bike. This morning I did about 800 meters of swimming, you know. So just kind of getting back into it because I've got pretty much what, 4 months till the half Ironman in Galveston.
Oh wow, that's gonna come up quick.
Yeah. So, and I'm really not doing, I'm doing a half marathon in Vegas, the rock and roll half next month.
Okay.
So that'll be just kind of a training run. And then I'm
Right.
gonna do take it easy, but I'm gonna do the Spartan trifecta weekend in March because I'm helping
Okay.
with More Heart Than Scars, and then I'm also helping the teddy bear crawl. I'm gonna
Oh,
actually because they
okay.
didn't have anybody. I'm in Houston and they didn't have anyone else, and I'm like, I'll do it. I'll
Okay.
host a teddy bear crawl. So I'm gonna do the teddy bear crawl for Houston, and then in April I'm gonna do the half iron. And
Okay.
I pretty much told everyone I have a goal. My goal is less than 7 hours,
It's a good goal.
which would mean I would have to cut off an hour and 45 minutes of what I did last year.
But you can do it.
Yeah. Okay.
You
So
definitely can. I mean, you know what it takes to finish now. So it's like, okay, cut off a couple of minutes here and there. Like, you definitely can drop your bike pacing
hmm
easy. You can drop that running pacing even just by like a little bit. And then, I mean, now that you have finished, like that swim shouldn't be as daunting as it had
no,
been previously.
no, that was always my biggest worry was the swim. So, and now I pretty much really I finished the swim 3 times now because the first
Hmm.
two Ironmans that I DNF'd were on the bike.
Right.
I made it to the end of the bike, so I passed the swim 3 times now. So
Yeah.
it's just a matter of making sure I don't want to fall backwards because every time I
Right.
pass the swim, it's been by the smallest margin. So I know I don't have a lot of room to make mistakes on the swim. So I need to make sure that I keep up on it enough that I can still get that little bit of margin there. But it's like I said, pretty much my goal, survive the swim, crush the bike,
Yeah.
and then just, do what I do on the run. So should be good. Like I said, I've been hitting at least I do pretty much three days on the bike, 3 days in the pool, a little bit of running. Like my warm up is my running almost all week for the bike and the swim. I do a warm up run. I also do my VR workouts to get some more cardio in there. Some workout with the bag and stuff like that. Some other little workouts, to build the muscle.
Yeah.
And then one day, like usually Saturday or Sunday, I'll do a longer run. So like tomorrow, I'm gonna actually do a 4 mile ruck, but it's just because we're doing the polar bear plunge,
Oh,
the
okay.
Texas style polar bear plunge. We're gonna go jump in a pool.
Oh,
So
okay. In like what, 70-degree weather or something?
pretty much, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, have you thought about optimizing your nutrition, figuring out some like fueling things and see if that makes the difference?
I've been looking into that, because that's one of my big things. And normally for me, I'm horrible about this, and I'm the first to admit it. I don't eat while I'm racing. I've done full
That
like
would save you so much time.
I know I don't eat while I'm racing, and that's one of my biggest things is like I've done full like ultras, Spartan ultras. The first one I did, I had a half of a sandwich in the whole entire ultra.
For the entire ultra?
Yes, and that's one of my things. It's not the right way to do it, and that's what I've been working on fixing. Because for a long time when I do marathons, I didn't eat. I always made the joke I was a starvation runner because I would go if I ate, I felt nauseous, so I just didn't. So I would run full marathons with eating like a honey stinger, like a waffle, like one. And now it's like, okay, no, I can't do that. So I did on the Ironman this last one. I did better. I had on the bike in my little thing on the bike, I had honey stingers and like a peanut butter and honey sandwich. So that I ate while I was on the bike. But it's when I'm running. I have a problem eating running. So I pretty much figured out I have to figure out how to eat, get enough nutrition because the bike's the longest anyway. So if I can get that nutrition on the bike, and then I should be okay for the run at the end.
So you and I haven't seen each other since
Well, it's toughest.
late late in the morning, middle morning. I don't even know. Sometime in the daylight in the morning of World's Toughest Mudder.
Mm-hmm.
I remember passing More Heart Than Scars in a run saying, I'm going to make 75 miles. And you guys were like, you're looking good.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And you did
so
it because I can see it behind you.
yeah, I actually took off my blurred screen specifically so you can see the bibs. You can see that 75 mile
Yep.
up there. You can see my 50 and all of the other
Mm-hmm.
bibs. You can see that Holy Grail because I can't actually hang my Holy Grail from last year because I have one of the magnets that were backwards, so I can't hang the metal. Um, so I'm like, I'm gonna at least hang this Holy Grail. But yeah, so one thing about my World's Toughest Mudder this past year is I ran so consistent. If you look at my times, it was like hour 40, hour 40, hour 40, hour 40. And that's like when it actually mattered. Like, obviously, the first few laps were less than that, but I knew I could not go longer than really an hour 40 ish with
Mm-hmm.
transitions. Like I needed to average an hour and 40 minutes to make the 75 miles. And then I banked enough time in the first laps that when it got later, I was like, it's gonna happen. I wasn't watching my watch at all. I would come through on transition and relap my watch and be like, how is that an hour 40? How is that an hour 40? And I was like, that felt like it was a lot slower. Well, the reason why my World's Toughest Mudder went so incredibly well this year is because of my fueling. And I know we talked about it last year, what I was doing with my CGM. And I didn't really have to do all that much in terms of like changing my nutrition. I had to change around like my nutrient timing, but then I really focused on figuring out how my body was converting like fats and carbs into blood glucose throughout my runs. So I knew like, okay, on a more intense run, if I haven't eaten very much or if my blood sugar's lower, maybe eat something. Or depending on what the run looked like, can I do this off of the glucose that I have in my system and then see how my body was converting that and my body became more efficient on converting the glucose, like the fats and the carbs
Hmm.
into glucose. So then when it came time for the runs, I knew that my body could handle it in the event I didn't have food. But this was actually the first race ever that I can honestly say that I stayed eating the entire time. And part of that I attribute to my pit crew forcing me to eat, but also like I didn't lose interest in food like I normally do. I was eating very consistent throughout the night. Granted, there were times that I probably could have eaten more, but I'd never stopped eating. And that is the big difference maker because your body needs that glucose readily available to go into your system. If it has to convert, particularly when you haven't trained your body to convert, it's going to take some time. So your
Hmm.
pace is going to slow down. Um, and for you in particular, when you're not eating during your race, your body is hitting that fatigue point and it's going, oh, well, we're fatiguing. And now we have to work extra hard because we have to try and convert, our fats and our carbohydrates and what everything else into our glucose. If you're not eating, you're not going to have carbs left in your system. So your body is relying on fats, but also your heart rate is probably way too high to rely on your fats. So it's trying to use carbs, but there aren't any carbs in your system and you're risking bulking. And that's how that happens.
Yep.
So if you're not going to be training with as much, or if you're not going to be racing with fuel, you need to be doing like significantly more zone 2 work. Like, I mean, already it should be about 80% of your workouts should be zone 2, but like you need to be hitting like massive amount of time in zone 2 to train your body to convert fats into blood glucose. So you can stay fueling.
Yeah, that's what I got to work on it because I know, like I said, my biggest problem was, and it's one of those things just because it's half the stuff we do because we learned when we were younger. For me, whenever I was younger, if I ate, I felt bloated and I felt like weighted.
Yep.
So I just always learned I never ate. I wouldn't eat before, like when I played baseball, I didn't eat before baseball games. I didn't eat during baseball games. When I played, any other sports, I never ate. I've never been like, I'll take food. Amber yell at me all the time because I'll take food with me on like a ultra or a beast, and I come back with 90% of what I left with. It's still in my pack because I'm just one, I forget about it, and two, I don't get hungry when I'm running. So that's one of those things I need to work on mentally to tell myself, hey, you know, I don't know if it's to set a timer on my watch to say, hey, every half an hour, 45 minutes, hour, whatever I want it to be, eat something. Put some carbs in your mouth.
What are you drinking?
Um, Usually I have it's the noon endurance.
Okay. Um, I'm less familiar with Noon. I think endurance does have some carbs. You
I
might
think so.
need to you might need to like really ramp up that endurance stuff because at least if you're drinking carbs, then there's less of a need to be eating it. And like I do my scratch high carb when I get later into like the night or the morning when I expect my body to stop wanting to eat things. So then at least I'm getting those carbs.
Hmm.
With scratch, it can be up to 400 calories in whatever the serving size is, depending on how many scoops you use. So I'm going to assume with the noon
Yeah.
endurance, you might need to throw more scoops of that in and you need to drink it more often, especially on the bike. I'm going to assume you have one of those like cute little hydration things in front of you that you can be drinking on the bike.
I have the bottles, but yeah, I haven't got
Okay.
the expensive thing. Got the little thing where it just sticks up in front of me. I've thought about it, but I've spent so much on the bike that I think if I could get me more, someone's gonna kill me.
I think you need it if you're not going to eat.
Yeah,
You
probably.
need it right in front of you saying, "Hi, drink me." and you need a reminder in your watch or something there flashing saying, "Hey, drink me now."
Yeah. Mm.
Because if you're waiting until you're thirsty, you're going to be bonking.
And I think that's part of the problem I had last time. I on the run I started to bonk. And I think part of it was because by the time I hit the run, I was spent.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I need to work on that. It's one of those things that, I need to figure out the over the next what, 4 months. I need to figure that hydration, food, calorie intake to make it so that once I hit the run, I have enough fuel and enough energy left. Because that's one thing, on like world's toughest. It's 5 miles, then you're back at the base. So you can, if you need something, you can grab it real quick. So for me, but it's still, I was drinking most, so even at world's toughest. I don't think I had, I didn't eat a whole lot that night, but I drank a lot. So, and I think that's my thing. I get most of my calories from what I'm drinking.
I would leave the pit at World's Toughest with a slice of pizza, some prosciutto. I mean, I've had donuts in there. I'm grabbing, Snickers and, Oreos, peanut butter M&Ms. I
So
tell
one thing I did, I
myself,
did peanut pepperoni. I did have a
okay,
bag of like pepperoni that I was eating. So
okay. Um, so lunch meats are great for protein and for salts, but and they're going to have some fats in it, but they don't have as much in terms of carbs. So you need to make sure you're getting your carbs too. Um, what do you eat before you run?
it really depends. The night before, I'll try and have something that's a little carb heavy, but not too carb heavy. So I'm not like, I know I used to try spaghetti, but I felt so bloated in the morning that I usually go for something with like a rice or something like that in it. And then the morning of, normally I'll have like a banana and a coffee, and that's
And
pretty
is
much it.
that what you do before a race as well?
Yeah, banana and a coffee.
So are you eating bananas when you're out on course?
No,
Why not?
just before I get there.
I love fruit when I'm out on an ultra course.
My biggest problem, I think the hardest part that I've had with the fruit is, I mean, I guess I have the pack, so with just finding a way to carry it. I mean, it's
Okay.
one of those things that's not like, that's one of the reasons I've always like honey stingers, stuff like that, because I can just throw them in a Ziploc bag
Yeah.
and stuff them in the pack, and we're good to go.
I would say start trying some goos, chews, gels, all that kind of stuff. If you can't palate heavier things, don't even try it.
The big problem I've had like goose is the texture. Because
Okay.
I'm one of those that I think that's my other problem when I'm running, I get very bad dry mouth.
Yep.
So I drink a lot, but I still can't seem to get enough moisture in my mouth. So when I have like a X and I'm like, it's not a pleasant feeling.
Hey, I'm one of those people like the first time I had it, I wanted to gag. I'm like, I can't do this. It's gross. Um, Honey Stinger used to sell the ones that were like frosting, and I started with the frosting ones. And then I eased into it that way. I think Goo might still make some that are similar, maybe. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I'm mostly Honey Stinger, but I do the Roctane Goo because it has amino acids in it, and amino acids fuel the muscle. So,
I'll try that one too. Yeah, see, I've always been like the honey stinger, just the waffles. I grab the waffles and I can eat those real quick. Like I said, I've been starting to do the peanut butter and honey Lunchables because I would make a peanut butter and honey sandwiches, and then I'm like, well, if I could just get a Lunchable, it makes it
the
that much easier.
Uncrustable,
Or
you mean?
Uncrustables, yeah,
I'm like a
Lunchable.
Lunchable. Are you having like little charcuterie? Like
It's tempting.
I'm all about the charcuterie. Like literally, I eat prosciutto during every ultra. Like give me all
Yeah,
the prosciutto. I live for adult Lunchables, but um,
yeah, I meant the Uncrustables, but yeah,
yeah,
a Lunchable would be great on course. But
it would be so great. Can we just set up charcuterie stands? Screw
that would be
water.
amazing.
Screw the water. Give me all the charcuterie.
That'd be amazing. See, I'm one of those horrible, but like if I go to like a party, I'm the one that'll stand next to security. I can never even say that word. The Yeah,
Yeah,
meat and cheese board and eat all of it.
I am from Wisconsin. I do all the meats and cheeses.
Yeah.
Like, I mean the I mean I eat with wheat thins, but like the cracker that's just crunched. So I'm
Hmm.
not just sitting there eating meat and cheese, but like prosciutto and cheese was one of my big things when I was on my CGM. Like I don't need the cracker. I'm just gonna go meat and cheese. My blood glucose never spiked. That and peanut butter, like my body loved it. I am so looking forward to getting back onto that diet. Um, but yeah, I think you
Yeah,
really need to spend a couple of months teaching yourself how to eat and run.
I might have to. I want to try too because I've been making my own like protein bars
Okay.
and seeing if maybe those I could use those on course. So,
Okay.
but I don't know how much they're more protein than they are calories. Or yeah,
And
I don't
there's
know.
so protein is important. And I mean, it's a really long race. Um, but remember, your body has to break the protein down. So your body is already going to be working pretty hard.
Yeah,
So that's where I like to throw in like the Roctane, whether it's like get some of their BCAAs and throw it into your drink, because I'll do that. I'll put BCAAs straight into my scratch, or else get the Roctane gels, the Roctane powder. They'll sell electrolyte powder with Roctane or with the BCAAs. Um, Getting a BCAA versus having a protein means that the amino acids are already in like their base form, so they
yeah.
can go straight into your muscle, into the metabolism, wherever your body wants to use it, versus having to go through and break down the protein.
Hmm. I have to try those because yeah, that's the one thing I know I really need to work on is my nutrition during the race, just
I
so that
would
I don't
say
bonk.
that is going to give you your hour and 45 minutes right there. Just eat something every 35 to 45 minutes. You're definitely going to drop a lot of time because your body's just going to want to go for longer.
Yeah, I have to work on that because yeah, maybe put it into my training so I get used to eating while I'm training. Because like I said, that was my biggest problem when I trained like during 2020 when I lost all the weight and trained. I would get up in the morning, have a coffee, and then go run a half marathon.
Yeah.
Just go run 13 miles and then come back and then have breakfast. So I got used to my body got used to that like, hey, I'm gonna go do all this and then I'm gonna eat. So it was once I tried it the other way, I kept having problems, like I said, where I just felt bloated and weighed down and bleh, when I tried run after I ate. So it's just a way of training the body. Oh, did I lose you? One of us were pros. There you go.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi is like absolutely terrible, even though I pay a ridiculous amount of money for it.
I was. It could be mine too, because mine does this weird. Like I've been trying to figure it out because mine's been. I paid a stupid amount of money for mine too, and it doesn't.
It's all a scam, I swear.
It is. It's all a scam.
But yeah, have you tried things like the honey stinger blocks or like the cliff blocks?
I've tried those. The blocks aren't bad. I think I could do the blocks, um, and stuff like that. So I might have to. I think it's just a matter of getting used to them. So I think I'm gonna
Okay.
have to get some and then start with my training, putting them. Because like I said, I use the honey stinger. Waffles. I'll throw those into the because I have the whatever the little bag that sits on the bar on the bike, so I can just grab them. I'll put 7 or 8 of them in a Ziploc bag, so I can just open the bag and grab them and go. So I don't have to worry about tearing them open and littering and
Yep.
dropping something. Um, so I'll do that, and then it's just a matter. I think once I hit the run, I don't have anything on me because I just go without. So I've been thinking what I should do is get like some blocks or something like that, put them in because I get the whatever the little belt that has
Yep.
the the bib on it, and I can just it's got a pocket so I can put stuff in there. So it's just a matter of
Yeah.
doing it.
So what I would do, especially since you're going to be doing Ironman, so you have like the specific transition zones, start when you're like right now, plan to eat during your transitions, like have something real to eat during transitions. So
Hmm.
like eat something before you go run, eat something before you go bike, and then stick to your blocks or the easy stuff while you're running or biking or whatever. I don't expect you to be eating and swimming, but have
No.
something a little bit more substantial in your transition zone. And I mean, I say this for all ultras too. I have a goal for myself. Do not leave your transition area without something to eat. And like there are times where I would be like, I'm going. And my pitch crew's like, no, you're not eating anything. Grab this, eat it, take this. I ended up relying a lot on applesauce packets, like the little like
Hmm.
know, turn the cap and squeeze it into your mouth. They also just started making a packet that's like it's not applesauce, but it's like other fruit and it's like an electrolyte blend.
I'm gonna have to look
So
into that.
yeah, I noticed I don't get as significant of a glucose spike with it when I'm running, so it wasn't enough fuel for me like during my lap, but it was good in addition to what I was eating.
No.
And like now, when I say like I felt good at World's Toughest Mudder, I never had any cramping, no aches and pains. Like I would be running past people 45, 50, 55 miles, and I would run up on people and be like, oh, good job. And they're like, how are you doing this right now? You look like you're in no pain. Like my body understands the assignment. And it was all because of how well I fueled. Um, like because I had trained my fueling so well, I was able to improve my running substantially. And then I fueled so well during the race, and my body was used to that with the running, that I ran 75 miles. It wasn't until that last lap that I was like, oh, I'm starting to hurt now. But it was my feet. And I even came in to the last lap, and my pit crew's like, how are you feeling? I'm like, I need to change my shoes. They're like, no, you don't. You're only going for one more lap. And then I
No.
ended up walking a little bit more on that last lap because my feet hurt, but I had so many bands saved up that I could skip most of the obstacles and I still ended up with an hour 40 final lap.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the one thing that's great about World's Toughest. If you plan it right, like, because we didn't, yeah, because when do you start getting the bands?
25 miles.
25 miles. That's right. Because, yeah, we only did 30. But um, if you do it right, you can hit so much in the beginning because a lot of the obstacles don't start opening till later. So
Yep.
a lot of people don't realize that. Like when you first do it, like last year was my first year, and I'm like, oh, wait, why isn't this obstacle open? It's like, oh, it doesn't open for a few hours. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, so if you plan this right, you can get, you know, 4 or 5, depending on how fast you are, like laps before they even open the major obstacles,
Yeah.
and that's one of the big keys there, and then once you start getting past that, and then you get the bands, and then it's like, oh, I don't feel like doing this obstacle here.
Right. Or you can save them all for like your last lap. And then when it's like truly matters and you're like, I don't want to do anything more. And then you're like, band, 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 band. Like I even saved a band for um Loch Ness just in case there wasn't anybody coming through and somebody else came through on the last lap. So I was like, oh, I have one more band left. And then I was like, I guess I'm skipping electric shock therapy. And unfortunately, because I skipped electric shock, I didn't get a picture. And then like at the finish line, it hadn't hit the official 24-hour mark. I finished in like 23 hours, 47 minutes. So like the announcer wasn't like all hyped up, like, oh, Megan Beck, you just finished 75 miles, ninth female overall. Like it was like, oh, congratulations, 75 miles, go get your silver bib. And then I like walked in and the Spartan people were like, well, congrats, here's your silver bib. They're like, do you want to band just to like keep it? Because you did a lot. I'm like, sure. And like it was very nonchalant. Like there was no like massive like celebration. I'm like, I'm okay with that because I wasn't doing it for anybody but me. Like I crossed that finish line and I started like ugly crying and just walking and smiling, like, I can't believe I just did that. So like I didn't need people running and hugging me or whatever else. I was like, this was all about me. Like I did this.
Yeah.
I never thought I could do this. And it just like felt good to like be in my feels without everybody else like making such a big deal about it because it wasn't about anybody else but me.
And that's one of the things that I mean, I've had a couple like situations in life like that where you get those like you do something amazing, then everyone jumps in and they're all freaking out, and you're like, I just want a minute.
Yeah.
Just let me savor this for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And then we can all celebrate, but just give me, you know, just a second. And that was one of the things when I finished the Ironman because I was pretty much like the last person they let finish. So when I finished, there wasn't a lot of fanfare. It was kind of the same thing. They're like, "Oh, here's your medal. We were just about to start taking things down," kind of thing. Like, cool. Walked over, kind of hugged my wife real quick, and then I'm like, "I'm gonna go get the bike," and then I had that time just to sit there and like I don't want to say wallow because it sounds like the wrong word because you're not. You just sit there in my own brain for a minute thinking, I just did this.
Yeah.
And I mean for you to hit 75 miles because we've talked about it how many times that this is what you're going to do at World's Toughest and you did it.
Yeah, and I honestly never thought it was possible. I was like, there's no way I can get 75 miles. I'm not a good runner. I did not grow up as a runner. I never thought I could run to save my life. I trained my ass off for it. And like even better is like I finished top 10 overall. How? Like me. And like again, they didn't announce it at the finish line. I know that like there were a couple people that would come up to me like during the race and be like, "Oh, last I saw you were like hovering around 10th." And then like I crossed the finish line, they didn't say anything and I'm like, "Whatever." And then I looked up at the board and they were showing like the OCR report like stream and I looked up and it had my name in 10th and I was like, I just finished top 10? What? And I was like talking to a friend. And I'm like, no, shut up. Like, that just happened? Like,
Hmm.
no. And then it updated, and I was like, wait, why does it say it was the ninth? And somebody's like, you just finished ninth. I'm like, no, that can't be accurate. There are plenty of people still out on course. Somebody has to finish ahead of me. Like, I didn't finish top 10. Like, there's
Yeah.
no way. It's going to update and somebody's going to come in and take, and they're like, no, like, start line is closed. Like everybody that's like if they haven't hit 75 miles yet, they're not gonna finish above you. And like if they are on course and have 75 miles, they started that after you were like already came in. Like they can't climb any farther up. Like you're ninth. I'm like, what? And it was
Which is
like
amazing.
incredible. And like it was just true raw emotion without anybody like making a huge deal about it. And like that's what I love the most. Because
Hmm.
again, like it wasn't about anybody else. It was about me coming to grips with like I actually achieved the goals that I set out for myself. Like
Which is amazing.
I don't need anybody else to like hype me up. Like I hyped myself up and I got myself there.
You did. It was amazing to see because, we've talked about it for so many times.
Yeah.
Was your goal. This is your A race. Was your goal all year. You wanted to be, you know,
Yeah.
75 miles.
As a coach, one of the things that I try to always do with my clients are like I always remind them that they're the ones doing the work. Every time they get emotional or they're, thanking me for all of the work I've done with them, I say, no, I didn't do this work. You did. I told you how to do I told you how to get there. I gave you a blueprint, but it was up to you to follow it.
Hmm.
It wasn't my doing. I can sit here all day and tell everybody exactly what they need to do to achieve their goals. It's not up to me to get them there. It's up to them to say, yeah, I want to do this. I am going to be disciplined enough. I'm going to follow this. Because I guarantee you, hitting some of these goals, it's the easiest thing in the world. But because we know exactly what we need to do, but in practice, it is not easy at all.
Mm.
Telling somebody, hey, you can't eat sugars for a year and you have to go out for 3-hour runs or you know whatever else. If your hand tears, because my hand tore at World's Toughest Mudder, you have to make the decision, am I going to take that miserable penalty or am I going to continue to do the obstacle? Like, it's not easy, but you know what you have to do. So it
Hmm.
is up to each individual person to say, I'm going to do this. My coach didn't make me get on the CGM. He didn't do any of the physical work for me. He simply laid out my runs and said, here are your runs. If I missed a run, he wasn't texting me saying, hey, why did you miss that run?
Yeah. Yeah.
I sprained my ankle and it was, oh, do you think you can run yet? Oh, no. Okay. Whatever. Like, it was up to me to say, I am going to do this. Just like it's up to my clients every time they come in and work with me to say, I am going to do this, or I am going to make this change in my nutrition. I'm going to make this change in my sleep. I'm going to make this change in my heart rate, whatever else.
Yeah. And I think that's the hard part is, I mean, there's so many people that go to a coach that go to someone like you and say, okay, hey, I want to lose weight. I want to get in the shape. I want to do all this. And they expect you to be like, okay, here's how you do it. I'm going to do it for you. No, it's pretty much like, it's like you bought a cookbook. Here's the book. Here's your recipes. Here's how to do it. But you have to go get the ingredients. You have to do the work and you have to cook it.
Yeah. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to walk you through it. I can talk to you all day, every day about why we're doing everything, what more you can be doing, but ultimately, I'm not there smacking the thing out of your hand when you want to gonna eat something. I'm
Hmm.
not there saying, hey, you have 8 hours until you need to get up. You better get in bed right now. I had two clients this year that ran marathons. One client ran the Chicago Marathon, one client ran the New York City Marathon. And the client that ran the Chicago Marathon had ran marathons plenty of times. She's still chasing after the sub 5-hour marathon, and I know she can do it. But when she went out and trained, there were things that she kind of didn't hit all the time. And then when it came down to her Chicago Marathon, she wrote all of these excuses of why she missed her goal.
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm sorry to hear that. I said, it's sounding like you are self sabotaging. And then I have the other client, New York City Marathon. It's her first ever marathon. She said, Megan, my goal is a 6.5-hour marathon. I just want to finish it and be an official finisher. I said, you're going to finish a lot faster. She followed my training plan to the T. She did everything I asked her to. She changed her diet. She ended up trimming down substantially in terms of body fat. She went out and she ran a 5:12 marathon. The client that ran Chicago ran a 5:08. The client that ran Chicago did not stop to use the bathroom. My client that ran New York City had to stop twice for the bathroom. And it's all the difference of one followed exactly what I said to do, and one went and made some excuses here or there, or cut
Hmm.
some corners, didn't really want to get outside of the comfort zone. It's like, I can't hold your hand. I'm going to give you everything that you need to do. If you want it, it's up to you to go and take it.
Yeah. That's what a lot of people don't think about. I mean, that was one thing when I was training for, the marathon in what, 2021? And my goal was 6 hours. because before that I'd done, 9 hours and like 7.5. So I'm like, I want to get under 6 hours. So, which isn't advisable, but about 2 weeks before the marathon, I ran like just to practice. I went out and actually ran 26 miles. I'm like, let's see if I can get under 6 hours. And it was one of those I was going to run from the house and I had the trail I was going to go down. And I just told my wife, hey, on your way home, I'm going to tell you what time, stop by here and pick me up. And then I get about halfway through and I told her like about 6 hours. Get about halfway through it. I'm like, you might want to be there earlier. And I ended up finishing in like, I think it was 4:45. And
Yeah.
then when I did the marathon, I did it in 4:39. And I'm like, I was hoping to get under 6, but it
Yeah.
was just, I just kept going, kept increasing the distances, not doing little short distances, doing longer distances all the time so that my body was it was ready for it.
Yeah. When I went out for World's Toughest Mudder, I did not run substantial pacing in my long runs. I knew where my pacing needed to be or what my laps needed to be to get there. But again, I wasn't constantly checking my watch. I would lap it as I crossed that start line and then be like, oh, how did I just do that? I wasn't looking at my watch, but I trusted my body and I ran based on my body feel. And that's exactly what I did on my long runs.
Hmm.
Yeah, sure. I was out there running 13-minute miles on the trails during my long runs. But like I was keeping my heart rate very low. So then when it came time for World's Toughest Mudder, I just said run based on how I'm feeling and I can push myself a little bit more.
Hmm.
You just got to trust yourself.
And it
And
worked.
it's always going to work, you know? The training is there for a reason. You have to learn what your body is going to do at specific times, but like I wasn't out there running a 24-hour race before this. Yeah, I ran two toughest. I learned what my body needed to do in the middle of the night. I ran an infinity, but like I knew what my body does at certain points. And then it was like, okay, if this arises, what can I do to get through it? And nothing ever came up during World's Toughest Mudder unless you count my battery dying on my headlamp. But hey, that happened at toughest, and I was ready for it.
Hey, and that's the one thing because everyone always laughs because I had what, 3 different headlamps?
I was
And
there when you lost your headlamp.
so mad. I got it.
I heard that's awesome because you and I we dove into
Mhm.
whatever it was called at the same time.
I've got video of it
Yeah,
when we dropped in. So yeah, and I lost it there, and then all of a sudden I was like, dang it, because that was my nice headlamp, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh, shoot. So the next one I took the horrible headlamp, and I'm like, God, I hate this thing. And
yeah,
then because it's one of the big clunky ones, and I'm just like,
yeah,
oh God. But then when we got there, it's cracked me up because I made sure to take everything off before I went through like glasses, everything. I'm not losing anything this time. And so one of the guys, Tim, grabs it and he's like, "Is this your headlamp?" And he's trying to show it to me, and I'm like, "I'm not wearing my glasses. I can't even see you, dude." So I have no idea if that's my headlamp. So, but
yeah.
once I dropped in, we got out, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's it." So I was
I
happy.
was
So,
I was moving so smoothly through this race that like when the sun came up, I still went back out with my headlamp. I was like, "Oh shit, this is still on here.
hmm.
I guess I'm going back out with my headlamp." So there are pictures of me like swinging across something with my headlamp still, like no sunglasses. It was a mess. Eventually, I came back and was like, "Hey, give me something. I'm take my
Hey,
headlamp. Just cut this thing off me."
you made it. And that was my mistake because I didn't even think about the fact of, tying the headlamp to me. I'm like, oh, that
Oh,
would make a lot more sense because I have stuff
yeah.
like that for like when I do like construction stuff. I have stuff to keep my hard hat like tethered to me. I'm like, that would have been perfect. I could have just
Rook
hooked it onto the.
Yeah, rookie mistake.
It was a
You got to tie
total
the
rookie
headlamp
mistake.
onto your bib.
Total rookie mistake.
Yeah, tie
Because
the
I know I gotta,
headlamp.
yeah, I gotta watch my goggles at Ironman because at this one, at least I know this year. Last year, I didn't know you jump off the dock,
Oh yeah.
and it's not like a dock that's on the. You're 6 feet above the water,
Oh wow.
jumping off into the water, and that's how you start. And I'm
Okay.
like, oh, I wasn't ready for this. Yeah, so at
Yeah.
least I know this
Yeah.
year.
Tie your headlamp to your bib And whatever flashers you have on the back, make sure they're not sticking out enough that they're going to get caught in any of the cargo nets, because there are a lot of cargo nets. I hated that the difficulty for World's Toughest Mudder was, here, we're going to just squeeze the living hell out of you.
Mhm.
Literally everything was just claustrophobia.
Yeah.
Like, here's a cargo net. You have to crawl between the wall and the cargo net. Oh, here's Crybaby, and there's going to be massive pockets of water as you're crawling through that you have to push out of the way. Like, no. We want obstacle innovation that doesn't involve suffocation.
Yeah. No. No. Yeah. That was one of the things I didn't like because I'm not big on. I'm okay with it, but
Yeah.
yeah. No.
I would have also really liked to see innovation and like new levels up of some of these obstacles. Like the only reason that I ended up skipping Hanging Tough, Funky Monkey, just the tip was because I tore my hand because it was so dry. So I went and was swinging across just the tip and my hand ripped. Otherwise, I would have been able to do all of the hanging stuff all night. Then the only
Yeah.
thing I would have missed was King of Swingers or swinging, whatever, jump, swing, hit the bell,
Yeah.
because it is too short, or it's too high for us shorties.
Yeah. I
I
can't jump
don't
high enough to get it.
I don't know if any women can actually do it.
Yeah.
And that is
I can't.
unfair.
It is because I mean, not just ladies, but even me. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
5'7" and I can't jump
Yeah.
high enough to hit that.
Yeah. There should be a higher platform
Yeah,
or a
definitely.
lower bar or something. It is too low of a platform and a too high of a bar for anybody to actually hit it. There are
Yeah.
pictures of, I mean, me and plenty of other people that, okay, we jumped and we reached. There's no chance that we touched it,
Yeah.
but like we attempted it. Yay, us. And then to make it that stupid bouncy ball penalty was just dumb.
Yeah, there was a couple interesting things, but I get that they're trying to be different, but on some of them, it's just like,
Well, I like that penalty, but put it on an obstacle that's like actually attainable for people when you know that a specific demographic is not going to be able to hit it.
yeah,
Like, that's very unfair. At least if they would have made it the penalty for like Loch Ness or Everest, or I mean, I guess Loch Ness doesn't have one, but like electric shock therapy, something where people are like, okay, I'm going to skip this. So, something that people are like, I'm just blatantly going to skip this and not attempt. Not something where it's just not possible for people to beat.
yeah,
I-
that would make more sense. But
yeah, I know.
you never know.
We never know. I mean, who
So you
knows
going
what's
to
going to
the
happen? So I want to go to the UK because from what I have heard from other people who have ran World's Toughest Mudder, well, one, we know that previously, if you finish top 10 in your gender at World's Toughest Mudder, you get your elite contender status. And that was another big goal I had, was elite contender status. Um,
hmm
but a couple of women told me that they had elite contender status because they had previously finished top 10 overall. Not last year, but like years before. So they said that it was elite contender for life. I don't know if that's true. That's what I was told. I just know that I need to be there this next year so I don't waste my elite contender status. So it's not my A race. It's too early in the year to be my A race. And that makes me mad.
when is it
Um,
this year?
like the end of June.
Oh,
It's like the same weekend as Sisu, I think. Or
oh.
like the weekend after. Something around there.
Hmm, that's early.
Yeah, it's very early. And then like the thought of having to bring everything over to the UK, and I get it. People in the UK had to do it for us. So like I'm not gonna complain about that. It's just it's the time frame that I have the biggest issue with, because there isn't enough racing before then to ramp up. You
Yeah.
can't fit your holy grail before World's Toughest Mudder unless you're gonna like totally exhaust yourself.
Yeah.
Um, and the purpose of a lot of the races in the Holy Grail is to build you up to that 24-hour mark. I'm not gonna go and run a 24-hour race and then be like, well, la di da, I'm gonna go run my 9-hour infinity now. Like, no, I
Yeah.
hate infinity. I don't want to do
Yeah.
an
It doesn't make sense.
infinity unless it's like me actually training for this. So,
Yeah, that is weird to have it that early. Yeah, because
yeah.
that's one thing for like me for having the Iron Man in April. It's almost like it almost feels like it's my A race from last year
Yep.
because it's so early in the year. But the one thing I haven't mentioned that I don't know if I want to mention, I think I mentioned it once to someone talking to someone else. If I get under the 7 hours, I think I'm gonna go for a full.
I love that for you. Oh my gosh, yes.
So that's my goal. If I can get under 7 hours, I think I'm just gonna continue training and then just up the training because I'm gonna have to up it for, to do a full. And then Florida is in November.
I love that. I am here for you. I will support you through and through. Um, I think that's a great goal.
Because I want to it's one of those I want to check it off the bucket list. Because I don't think I'll ever do another one. But I want to check it off the bucket list and say, hey, I've done it. I've done
Yeah,
a full. Um, I'd still do triathlons, but I mean, I just know to train for a full is going to be a lot.
yeah.
Because that's to
Well,
get, 2.4 mile swim, 112-mile bike ride, and then run 26 miles in less than 16 hours.
I am here for you.
Yeah.
I believe in you. I think you can do it. You fought for so long to get the half. I think you get this sub 7 hour half Ironman and just keep going. It's training for the full. Just keep on going, keep on going.
Yeah. And that's going to be my goal, I think. So I'm just going to keep training and go for it.
Okay. Awesome.
So, yeah. So you think you're going to try and go to England? That'd be amazing.
I want to go to England, but I think my A race this year is Killington. I think it's time.
That'll be good. I've always wanted to go do that, and that's one of the ones because I have the goal of, you know, at least a 5K in every state, and that's actually the reason why I'm doing the rock and roll half marathon is because for somehow I've never done a race in Nevada.
Yeah.
So, because all the
Well,
Spartans I did, all the Vegas Spartans were in Arizona.
right. I mean, anytime you want to come out to Killington,
It's tempting.
come on
I'm
out.
thinking about it.
But yeah, I think Killington Ultra is gonna be this is the year.
I don't know about a Killington Ultra, but Killington sounds interesting.
I think my internet's cutting in and out, but
Yeah, it did.
I know I can do the Killington Ultra. I know I can finish it, but it is going to be such a grind. It is going to be massive amounts of mountain training, and I haven't done that in a little while. It's gonna hurt. It is going to be more mental than anything else because that mountain does special things to your head.
Yeah, that's
So
what I've heard. And so that's the
while,
hard part here. Training for mountains is pretty much go
yeah,
to parking lots and run up and down the stairs.
so I just need to keep telling myself I know I can finish the Killington Ultra. I am strong enough, fast enough. I can do the Killington Ultra. But
You can.
I know when you come into the transition at the Killington Ultra, something in your head goes, you don't have to go back out. And that is what I need to beat.
Yeah, I've heard
And
quite a
then,
few people do that.
yeah, and then it's just, I have to be ahead of the time cutoffs. I know I can do it, but it's all going to come down to the mental preparation.
I know you can do it. You can kill that thing.
Yeah. So that's gonna
Yeah,
be
it's gonna be a good one. And that's the thing that I've been trying to figure out. I know because I was talking to someone the other day about like training for like Sisu and stuff like that. After I finish, the Ironman, Sisu is all hills,
right.
just like Killington. Well, I don't know if you've ever looked at a topographical map of Texas, but
Right.
Hills is not something they're known for. So I've been thinking about. I used to do it with my friend Brian. Um, when we'd go to like just find a parking garage and run up and down the
Yeah,
parking
that's a good
garage.
one. Yeah.
So, because you can get, 6-story parking garage, and if they get mad about you using the ramps, you just go up and down the stairs or whatever. But
Except it doesn't train your ankles the same way on
it
stairs. But
doesn't. So that's why I kind of like the parking garage because you can go up on the ramps.
I love
But
that.
they get
That
kind of
is a
picky
great tip.
sometimes. The guards will like kick you out.
Right.
No. So,
Awesome.
all right. Well, I know we're getting close to the hour, and you're in it
I know.
because you just froze again. There you go.
Yes. My internet is so bad. Oh my gosh. I don't know why it's so bad tonight.
It might, like I said, it could be mine too. Mine's been being spotty too. So,
I mine for some reason always does this on different days, and I'm contract like only Xfinity is in my neighborhood, so like I'm kind of locked in and need to do that. So they jack up my rates and then the service is absolutely terrible. So
yeah,
it's a mess.
it's kind of how we are. I can't remember the name of the company, but we've got only one provider comes to our area. So,
Yeah.
it's like pretty much this is it. This is your choice. Awesome.
Yep. Yep.
Well, is there anything else you want to say to the listeners while I got you?
I mean, I'm just trying to make through. I have so many thoughts and I have so much stuff that I'm trying to work on for a lot of different things. And I'm just interested to see what happens this year in the sport of obstacle course racing because I think we all kind of have our concerns. And
I do.
and I don't want to vocalize any of those publicly yet because I want to continue to be optimistic and hope that we can make it out of this.
I'm hoping. I hope we can because I mean, the obstacle course racing has done a lot for me and for a lot of people. So,
Yeah. I wanted to survive more than anything else. And like the obstacle course racing in my head and the sport that I work on, it's such a great sport and it does so much for so many people. And there are a lot of things within this sport, particularly with companies and brands that, and even athletes, I think, unfortunately, we got so spoiled early on
yeah,
that like now there's a lot of backtracking happening and it is scaring the hell out of me because aren't recovering. And yeah, I am trying to stay optimistic about what's going to happen this year. I'm going to keep my head down, keep grinding, keep racing, keep coaching. um And that's all we can really do right now. Everybody needs to continue to show up for the races. Yes, when you have concerns or highlights, like vocalize those.
hmm
We want to hear the good just as much as we want to hear what our concerns are. And the only way to make this sport better and to keep it alive is to keep showing up and keep the conversations going.
yeah. So I'm hoping that life gets breathed back into it,
Yeah.
and this is just a bump in the road, hopefully. So,
Yeah.
but
And if anybody else shares any concerns or wants to continue to grow the sport, please, please, please look into your national federation. Get involved. Even if you don't have the time to volunteer and be on committees, you can join USAOCR, become a member, follow them on all of the socials, and get active. Start spreading the word and saying, let's get, whether it's USAOCR, I don't, the Canadian Federation, or whoever else, like get involved, become a member, and let's keep the sport alive.
yeah, definitely. I'm hoping.
Yes.
All right. All right. Well, as always, it's been amazing talking to you.
It's been so much fun. I know that this took way too long to actually get us to sit down and do this. We need to do it more often.
We do.
Yes.
We do. So,
Okay.
all right. Well, we will talk soon. Let me know when you want to do another one, and we'll get another one
Yeah,
on the books.
definitely. And until then, eat something when you run.
Yes, I'm going to. I'm going to. So,
Okay.
okay.
Awesome. Have
All
a
right.
great night.
You too. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Yep. Bye.
All right, bye.